They're not divided along lines of specifically of the classical elements. They're more about the elemental portions of the soul, which, okay, that's getting really technical and highfalutin. But the point is, Rhea drains people's blood and drinks it, and that was how she made her bones in the fairy world. She's an actual legendary figure where bards and poets and painters and so on would come to her and seek her inspiration, and she was kind of this vampire muse. That's where the original Menanche, that's her original story. And in the Dresden Files universe, that was how she made her bones. That's how she impressed Queen Mab. Like, oh wow, yeah, you took these guys who were out there just seeking to create something beautiful, and yet increased your dark and evil power. Well done. Right here in the classes. How do I set up my work schedule? That would imply that I know how to use a schedule and have some kind of circadian rhythm. Yeah, I don't dance. I don't even have circadian rhythm. But generally speaking, I'll get up in the morning around 11 or 12. I spend the day doing, okay, the morning 11 or 12, yeah, got it. I'll spend the day taking care of the business stuff that needs to be taken care of, the regular house stuff that needs to be taken care of, maybe go to the gym. Evening, I'll be hanging out with Shannon. I'll hang out with her every day, and we'll do stuff in the evening. She'll go to bed around 9:30 or 10, and then I'll settle down to write. And I will write until, from whenever she goes to bed until 5, 6, 7 in the morning, whenever I'm done, as long as I'm not playing too many video games. And then she gets up, and then I'll go to bed, and she'll get up not too long after that, and then she gets to do her writing while the house is quiet. So we're not ever walking into one another because 3 dimensions were not enough to keep us far enough away while we were working, so we had to be apart in time as well. But so far it's worked out. We haven't stabbed each other in the eyes with pencils like we almost did in high school. But go ahead.
I know the less amount of people that know about this, the better. But are we going to be introduced more to the Oblivion Wars, and is God himself going to eventually step in?
Okay, are we going to be introduced to more people or to more of the stuff about the Oblivion Wars story, which is mentioned in backup? And is God himself eventually going to step in? Well, there are sort of these archangels and holy swords running around. I sort of do regard that as some kind of intervention myself. As far as more Oblivion War stuff, not a whole lot. It's not really tied into Harry. It's one of those things that's been going on for a long, long time in the background. And I always knew it was going on. But yeah, Dresden could not play that one and do that well. That's the kind of war you have to fight with discipline. And Dresden can't keep his mouth shut to save his life. Like literally, he can't keep his mouth shut to save his life. Right here in green.
Are there any characters that you've created that you thought would go someplace, and then after the book was published, you tried to bring them back and it didn't pan out the way you wanted to, or you decided not to introduce them again?
Are there any characters that I introduced with broader designs in mind that after the book was over, when I went back to try and dig them out again, it just didn't work? Have I ever done that? No, I have problems in the opposite direction, where I create a character that's supposed to show up for one scene, and that's all he's supposed to be there for. But he winds up being cool enough that I end up using him again and again and again because I just can't get rid of him. That's what happened to Butters. I mean, he was supposed to be just a one-shot scene guy, and by the time I got done with him, I'm like, this little geek is cool. I need to have him around some more. Don't let this go to waste. But no, so far we're doing okay. In terms of when I need to bring a character back, it's okay. I can do that. They've worked so far. Here on the floor.
So in this story, you mentioned briefly the 2 days and la 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 la.
Hang on, let me repeat his question so everybody can hear.
I saw like another question you were asked in like a different signing where you mentioned that the black staff came from somebody and they really wanted black. So is that like the dog stuff from Celtic mythology, and is he like hunting down like black staff trying to kill him?
I'm not going to tell you. the answer to that question. It'll be more fun to find out as we go along. And he said that there's a little bit of a revelation about the Black Staff's origin. Really, it was something I mentioned somewhere else, like at a convention or something, and told folks, yeah, the Black Staff, it came from somewhere. It's not just something that came out of Ebenezer's yard. And the original owner of the Black Staff is quite perturbed that he no longer has it. He, she, it no longer has it. So that will come into play eventually. Right here, glasses. What was my favorite book in the Dresden Files? Deadbeat. Giant zombie dinosaur. I was waiting for like 6 years to write that. Because you can only put that stuff off for so long without going crazy. White shirt.
Rowling said that the Forest Again, where Harry died, was one of the toughest chapters she'd ever written. Have you ever had a chapter like that?
A chapter, okay, Rowling said that the Forest chapter where Harry dies was one of the hardest things she ever wrote. Have I ever had a chapter like that? Heck no, I love those scenes. I love that. That's one of my favorite things to work on. The hard chapters for me are the ones where somebody started, or where anybody really is trying to sit down and figure something out, and there's not a lot of dialogue or not a lot of action. Because if I can't lip off to somebody or punch him in the face, I hardly know what to do with myself. At least as a writer. So, let's see. Right here with the staff. What's my favorite part about going to conventions? Meeting you guys and talking and having people laugh. Getting to sign books, that's fun. I'm an awful traveler. I travel so badly I have to just buy one of those big bottles of Dramamine to come with me. But the best part about conventions is getting to actually sit down and meet people. And like people going, yay, when you walk in the room, that doesn't hurt either. I'm only famous like once a year, or at conventions, or maybe at bookstores sometimes. The rest of the time I'm just, I go home and mow the lawn. But it's kind of fun, I have to say. Let's see. Right here behind the red sign. Was it hard to convince myself or the publisher to delay Ghost Story? Well, it wasn't hard to convince the publisher because on the day it was supposed to be delivered, I was still about 12 chapters short of the end. I mean, they simply couldn't have done it. There was no book there. Convincing myself that I needed to admit that I needed more time, that was harder. But I had a lot of things that I had to pull together, and the story hadn't gelled yet in my mind to figure out what was going on at the end. And when it finally did, it was like, aha, now I got it. I actually came in early for the second deadline. But, that's almost like being on time. Right here. How did I end up writing the Spider-Man book, and would I ever do one again? I went to Dragon Con, and the original editor of the Dresden Files, Jen Heddle, was there. And she had moved positions, was working in Pocket, and said, we're publishing some Spider-Man books, and I wanted to see if you wanted to write. And she got about that far before I said, yes, I want to write a Spider-Man book. I don't think I could play poker very well or negotiate anything at all. You definitely want to write Spider-Man? What, are you crazy? She's like, oh, the money isn't very... I want to write Spider-Man! Okay. These days, I don't think I could do another one. My schedule is so busy, although that could probably change in the future. Because, I love the heroes that I grew up with when I was a kid. Can you put the Rhino on Aunt May's couch drinking tea? Awesome. Okay, we're going to last question so we can get these books signed and people can drive home before tomorrow morning. Right here, sir. What would I be doing if I wasn't a writer? I would probably still be working tech support somewhere. It was a fun job. I worked at an internet tech support company, and I was the all-night guy. And there was, it was a great experience. I was actually good at doing the job. I was the guy who could always kludge together something to keep the system up until morning, so I didn't have to get people out of bed. That's why they gave me the night shift, So, but I'd probably be doing that and liking it. But okay, guys, thank you very much for putting up with me.